Hi guys, so I'm back working on the camper van again. I got a new roll of insulation as I ran out the last day. I'm going to blitz through really quick and get all the installation done. I'm going to get going with the plywood sides and the plywood floor today. Okay, so the biggest problem I'm having at the minute, and the problem you'll have if you're doing a conversion like this, is to keep a list of the parts you need as you go along. I've ordered parts for this camper that are taking up to 2 weeks to come. Sometimes camper van parts are a special order, and you can't just get them off the shelf in your local car parts shop. A lot of people have messaged me there recently looking for parts for their own camper. I've got parts from all over from this camper, some on eBay, some on special websites, and some that I've made up myself just to suit the camper. Okay, so I got the insulation pretty much finished up, bar doing the actual roof, which I'll do probably when I have the flooring in. For the flooring, I'm using a 3/4 inch ply. This is it here, and I already have a template for a short wheelbase van. If you haven't got a template, what I have done in the past is you can get a piece of cardboard and just cut out, make it. It's a lot easier if you have actually an old floor that someone spent the time cutting out and getting it to the shape of the arch. But I'm going to pull out the van now. I'm going to bring in the template I have, lay it down on top of the ply, and cut it all out to shape. So if you haven't got a template for your floor, this is what I suggest you do. Just get a piece of scrap cardboard and keep cutting away at it until you get a nice fit. Maybe you're not even doing a transporter van, it's a different type of van, but this is the best way to get the actual curves for the ply flooring going down. Okay, so I got the ply all laid out on the floor. Because it's a short wheelbase van, we're going to get away with just using the full length of a sheet of plywood, whereas if this was a long wheelbase van, you'd actually have to add a piece in at the bottom, so you would need 3 sheets of plywood. This plywood is quite expensive as well. A sheet of it is about €100, so this one here, I have a brand new sheet, and this one here is a sheet I'm reusing, which is in pretty much good condition anyway. There's a little bit cut out at the bottom of it, but I'm gonna, when I'm cutting the template, hopefully I'll get to avoid that area. So now I'm going to lay the template down on it. I'm going to mark it out. I want to leave, see that this split in the plywood, I don't want that split running up the centre of the van, because we want the join on the plywood to be underneath the kitchen cabinets. Because this is the main walking area up here, and if there's a split in the plywood from wear and tear walking over, especially on the vinyl flooring which I'll be using, the actual join will, you can start to see it through the flooring. So that's why we're going to keep the join in the plywood over here underneath the kitchen cabinets. So probably I'm going to use most of this brand new sheet on this side of the van, and then use this sheet that I'm reusing. It'll be mostly going underneath the kitchen cabinets. Another idea would be to call to your local van or commercial dealer and ask if they have any old flooring for your particular van, and it definitely would save you a couple of hours of work. Okay, so we've got our template all laid out. Now we're just going to go around and mark the pattern onto the new sheets of plywood. The join in the template is here up the centre of the van, as I said, but the join when I'm finished will be pretty much there, which means that the join on the plywood will be pretty much underneath the kitchen units, so it won't be even seen. I got a lot of questions on Instagram after the first video. A lot of people asking how long a project like this would normally take, and really it depends on if it's your first time doing it or not. But I would definitely say if it's your first time, 6 months would be a good baseline for the project from start to finish. But I was glad to get the message on Instagram, and I hope to help people out. And if anybody has any questions, you can send me a message on there. Okay, so I got the floor all cut out. The 3/4 inch ply is actually very hard to cut, so you want a really good jigsaw. This is kind of a heavy duty jigsaw, and it's great for stuff like this. Okay, so now I'm going to put it in the van, hopefully everything fits really good. Okay guys, so I just thought I'd video this bit, because these are the pieces that people really don't show when they're doing campers. I'll try and zoom in there if you can see it. This is where at some stage someone has put some sort of silicone or some sort of bonding agent in between where the ply floor was originally, or now we've got this silicone or bonding or whatever it is, and it's literally impossible to remove. I've tried everything to get it off, but it's coming off slowly. But these really are the bits you just have to persevere with them and just keep going. I've sped this up here, but this took about half an hour to remove this glue from both sides, and it's time doing in between jobs like this that can sometimes really slow your project down. It's one of the disadvantages of buying an older van, but if you have the money and you can afford it, if you bought a year or two old van, it wouldn't have these sorts of small issues. Okay, so as for everyone with a camper conversion, it doesn't quite fit. It needs a bit of a trimming over there. I'd say the narrow sheets of ply, there's more flex in them, and this 3/4 inch ply, there is no give in it, so it has to be absolutely perfect before it'll fit in. Okay, so the floor is fitting fairly good there now. It needs a little bit of trimming just to get it absolutely perfect. But we've got a nice blank canvas now for working on, for doing our ply on the sides and doing our carpeting. So I'll be removing this floor again and cleaning underneath the floor, and also insulating the floor as well before we finally screw it down. But as soon as the plywood goes in, it really does start to feel like you're getting somewhere. Now we got the ply flooring in, we're going to do the same with the sides and ply them out now as well. There was nothing really wrong with the shape of this plywood that was in the van, but I'd rather put in brand new plywood. At least I know that everything has been refreshed in the van. So we've got the first side panel all cut out now. These are the screws I actually like to use. They're a self-drilling screw, and they make your life a lot easier, especially when you're by yourself and you're trying to hold the panel up on the side, and if you're using a drill bit and then trying to put a screw in after, it can be quite tricky to get them. Whereas with these, it's one shot. As soon as you screw it in, it's held, which is ideal, especially if you're by yourself. The good news regarding the parts I have ordered is that I've managed to get the parts together to do a T6 conversion. The headlights I managed to get original headlights, and the grille is also original as well. And the bonnet, the wings, the bumper, they're all going to be brand new. So this will really bring the van up to date, make it look a lot more modern. And also it's something that I haven't seen done yet on YouTube. And if you guys want to see what I'm doing on the van in between YouTube videos, you can check out my Instagram, where I post almost daily pictures of the progress. That's that side done. Now I have to do the exact same process on this side. I'm definitely not an expert when it comes to woodwork. This ply line is definitely something that the average DIYer could tackle themselves and save themselves a lot of money as well, as I've heard quotes before of between $1,500 and $2,000 just to get the van ply line and carpeted, where the cost of the materials in my case cost about a quarter of that. For the next piece of plywood, I'm just using the van's original hardboard for a pattern. I could reuse this, but I found that it's not as strong as the 12mm plywood, and I'd like to keep everything the same, so I'm going to use the plywood in this case. You're probably wondering here why there's no white insulation underneath this panel, and it's because I underestimated how much of the white insulation I'd need. So I've ordered some more, and all I'd have to do at some point is come back and just remove this before I carpet it and just resheet it with some white foam, and then we should be good to go. It's probably an overkill using this much insulation, but if you're on a budget and you're doing your van, the earthwood will probably be plenty for a good insulation inside in the van. So we've got all the ply line done now, got the sides done, the floor done. It's pretty much ready for carpet now. So the next thing I'm going to do in preparation for the carpet is I'm going to cut out the side windows. Okay, so we're going to drill a couple of holes to give us a guide, and then we're going to go to the outside of the van and mark out where we're going to need to cut. I like to cut it with a jigsaw with a steel cutting bit in it. I think it gives a more precise cut. And we'll also need to cut right through this straightening beam here, which I like to do with an angle grinder. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick a couple of points around the panel and drill holes. This is simply just to give me a reference for the outside. So before you go cutting holes inside your van, be sure to have measured the glass. I've done this a few times before, so I know exactly where to cut. Okay, so you can see I drilled loads of reference points. Now I'm just going to cut away this straightening beam. Okay, so just cut away the main support beam. Now we can go outside and start making our reference points. Okay, so this is what we got from the outside now. You can see we can pretty much tell exactly where we need to cut. But just to be on the safe side, we're going to get a black marker and we're going to mark it out. So that way there'll be no making any mistakes. Okay, now you can see we know exactly where to cut. I've just put a masking tape along the edge here so we don't scratch the paintwork. And I've just swapped out my wood cutting bit for a steel cutting bit. I think it's more precise cutting with a jigsaw, so that's what I like to use. Okay, so cut out really nice. We're waiting on the glass to come in. It should be in the next day or two. Okay guys, so I'm going to leave it there. We got a lot done today. We got all the van finished out, plied, ready for the carpet. We've got the side cut out for the glass. I should have the glass hopefully in the next day or two. As soon as I get that, I'll be putting it straight in. And the next video should be really an action-packed video because I'll have a lot of parts. I'll have the parts of the front end. I'll have the carpet, obviously I'll have the glass. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.